What's up, guys? Welcome back to the channel and another Hail Caesar faction review here as we continue on in our series. So we're still stuck in that kind of late antiquity period here, getting into the Dark Ages and everything. So the early 5th to 6th centuries AD here, and this is another army that is off the beaten path here. This is what we call the White Huns. So again, early 5th through mid 6th. And as it mentions in the description there, so the White Huns took over much of the region previously ruled by the Bactrian Greeks, Indo-Greeks, and Kushan. They raided into Sassanid Persia and exacted tribute, but were eventually defeated by the Sassanids and the Turks in the west, and then the Guptas in the south, and very likely a mixture of tribes. So again, not one where it's as well known as a lot of the more famous or infamous factions throughout history here. But if you like cavalry, this is another faction for you and a chance to have something a little different than some of the other contemporary armies here. So as we mentioned, cavalry is going to be the focus and could be the entirety of the army if you really want it to go that way. So 50% or more of that, 50% or more of the cavalry has to be Hun light cavalry. Now you could put infantry in here, and actually a correction from earlier, so you do have to have a little bit of infantry, but only 25%, so you could go 75-25 in your cavalry infantry mix. But again, infantry is not going to be the bread and butter of this list. It's going to be the various cavalry. Now, interestingly, getting sort of out of some of the classic armies that had access to elephants, these guys do still have that option, and up to 10%. And then or division breakup and skirmisher breakup is there, as is fairly typical. So jumping into the list, this is not a large one by any means, but again, cavalry focused. So starting off, Hun noble heavy cavalry with javelins and bows. So again, kind of one of those toolbox cavalry units that can definitely mix it up with the right stat line here, but otherwise isn't overly special, but again has that ability to do work at range, which again in some ways kind of pays for itself, right? So, and we do have some upgrades here in the arms and armor aspects of those. So we start off with 32 points per unit. We can give them contos and bows. So basically we're upgrading our combat ability a little bit for 3 points a unit there. The contos, again, is like that heavy lance. And then also we can make them cataphracts if we wanted to, so for another point per unit. And again, there's no restriction on these, so you can mix and match and customize however you want. But if you really wanted to sort of go all in on the abilities here, there's nothing that says you can't have contos cataphracts with bows, which just seems bonkers, right? Just essentially at that point, sort of super heavy cavalry that is still going to put some damage on you at range as they eventually start closing in, but also deadly for you if you're heading their way too, so they can certainly respond if depending on situation of the battlefield, they don't necessarily have to engage right away, so they can still put up a worrying amount of missile fire at range, and then you still have to respect their close combat abilities. Now, as we mentioned above, 50% has to be Hun light cavalry, so we have that here with spears, javelins, and bows as small units, so sort of rounding out the edges on the cavalry front there. And these guys will have that typical stat line, but again, it's a small unit, so good enough for what that is, but again, yet more missile abilities there. And these guys come with feigned flight, and you're not again having to pick and choose here. You can have as many of these essentially as you want, because you have to have at least 50% of your cavalry be these Hun light cavalry, and you could go all Hun light cavalry if you wanted to do that sort of just multiple small unit and be very annoying approach where you have just missile fire after missile fire after missile fire, and then you're softening up the enemy and you can still hit home when needed, but again you'll have some infantry to back up as well. Speaking of which, Indian medium cavalry, we're not quite done with the cavalry yet, with spears and or javelins, just a basic medium cavalry unit for us. Now, no other bells and whistles, but serviceable, and certainly much cheaper than our heavy cavalry, but 27 points a unit there. Also Indian light cavalry with spears and or javelins, 25 points a unit here. Not sure I would really run them. Well, it's a normal size unit, so there is that, but otherwise there's no other special rules, so you're not getting feigned flight out of that. Now, Coming to the infantry, which again is going to be essentially Indian based here. So medium infantry with spears or javelins, just good, solid, bog standard medium infantry unit. Also, full-size Indian medium infantry archers, so having, again, medium infantry with a very excellent missile platform. No other special rules again, but still a normal unit with the medium infantry profile to, again, deliver just more and more ranged. Then we actually have 2 elephants here. So elephants with mixed crews, mixed arms crews. Again, we have the elephant special rule there. And then also elephant escort of skirmishers fielded as small units, basically up to 1 per elephant. So well worth considering. It's definitely going to make those elephant units quite an investment on points, right? 35 points if you have that, but a nice investment to, again, sort of upgrade your elephants, provide them with a little bit more protection, and do what skirmishers do. Speaking of which, we round out with a small skirmisher package here, our typical small unit availabilities here. So we have skirmishers with javelins as small units for some close-in work, but then also another bow option if we need yet more long-range delivery and typical point values there. And then we round all this out with a leadership 8, so very standard here, but again, could be a very scary list here. So all cavalry is always an interesting option, certainly for the speed aspect and just being able to get around the board and then get those charges off, hopefully when and where you need them to. But this list also excels with just having essentially all levels of cavalry on tap. Again, not heavy on special rules here. We just have the light cavalry with feigned flight, but we do have those upgrade paths again on the heavy cavalry, the noble heavy cavalry, and we're not like restricted to just 1 unit or anything like that. So in that sense, we can make that unit essentially do what we need to. And the fact that it's just so well-rounded with the missile fire is pretty scary as well. Again, the Hun light cavalry here speaks for itself. We do have some just more generic cavalry to round things out at normal unit sizes there if we want. And then just a solid enough infantry base here for that minimum 25% of your army. So you can definitely find a happy medium here. But the infantry there is just, again, to, I would say, hold the line, so to speak, and then you really want your cavalry hitting off those charges and punching holes through the enemy. But let us know in the comments, guys, what you think of the White Huns. Have they built a pretty cool list here, something worth trying? Has anybody played a White Hun list? And if so, what have you been playing army list wise? How have you built your list, and what kind of opponents have you typically been playing? So this is, again, probably not one that gets as much attention or love, and really miniature wise as well. So it'd be interesting to hear what you guys think and have done for the White Huns. Hit us up in the comments as always, guys. Like and subscribe if you haven't already. And if you want to support the channel, check out that link in the description and pop over to Warlord there. So hope you guys enjoyed. We'll see you in the next one.